Hello and welcome to Most Recent Save, a podcast where we load up my latest deep dive into the worlds of science, games, and pop culture. Each month, I'll bring you a fresh save file packed with insights, research, and stories that bridge these spaces. Think of it as an audio companion to the Zeitgeist newsletter. So grab your controller, keyboard, or just your curiosity, and let's hit continue on this journey together. I am your host, Dr. Rachel Cohort. Research and news. This month, the BBC published one of the best things I've read all month, which is celebrating 50 years of the Oregon Trail. I've often identified myself as of the Oregon Trail generation because this game defined my early years in school and certainly was a contributor to my chosen career path. While I was aware of its controversies around representation, which are discussed in a really great and nuanced way in this piece, I did not know that Oregon Trail was the first game where you could name your NPCs. Also, the first game where a playable character could permanently die. The Oregon Trail was way more ahead of its time and innovative than I have previously given it credit for. TrustCon 2025. TrustCon happened this month in San Francisco. For those unfamiliar with this event, it is an annual conference centered on all things trust and safety in tech. I did not attend this year, but was keeping a close eye on all of the discussions in and around the event. There seems to have been a lot of talk around the growing importance of trust and safety in these spaces, the ongoing and ever-evolving regulatory space, and the harsh reality around layoffs in tech generally, and trust and safety specifically, and trust and safety in games more specifically. One of the more interesting pieces to come out post-event was a piece on Platformer called "Is Anyone Left to Defend Trust and Safety?" In this piece, they talk about how trust and safety teams seem under assault from all sides, but the industry itself has responded with silence, primarily driven by self-preservation. I highly recommend giving it a read, and it is linked in this month's newsletter, along with everything else I'm going to be talking about here today. Leveling Up Mental Health, Insights and Action from Discord's User Study. In my newsletter last month, I mentioned that I was at Games for Change in New York, speaking about the work I had been doing at Discord over the last 9 months with their well-being and empowerment team. This month, that talk became freely available on YouTube. It is on the Games for Change YouTube channel, and it's also worth mentioning that this talk is the world premiere of the results from the Discord moderator research project that I had been working on while I was there. So if you want to know what I've been up to and what the results say, go look up that video. DefenderNet from GamerSafer. Speaking of moderators, this month GamerSafer released an update to DefenderNet, which is their cross-platform system that powers structured moderation across thousands of Discord communities. This month, they announced a new framework of 20 core violation categories. Frameworks like these are really important for creating a shared language and shared expectations across different online communities. Play is life. A new piece from The Guardian this month from Keith Stewart, who has quickly become one of my favorite journalists to follow, takes a deep dive into the links between play and, well, life. In this piece, he looks at how creative games like Minecraft are being used as a powerful means of self-expression, mental health support, and building community. How to design for better play. Playful by Design research from the Digital Futures Commission published a report this month identifying 8 prototypical qualities of free or child-led play and highlights the benefits of online games. They consulted children, including teenagers, in the UK on the better designed features they would like to see to improve their digital play experiences. And guess what was near the top? Ensuring safety. Safer gaming is a cornerstone of the digital safety movement. Echoing the sentiment from the Digital Futures Commission, a new piece by the World Economic Forum this month discusses the role of digital games in the conversations around digital safety. While often excluded from discussions of digital regulation, although that is slowly changing, digital games play a pivotal role in literally billions of people's lives across the globe. In their latest report, The Intervention Journey, a roadmap to effective digital safety, they discuss Microsoft Xbox Gaming Safety Toolkit and KID's platform as 2 technological innovations that represent a broader shift towards proactive, inclusive, and context-aware solutions. UK Safety Act, Video Game Edition. A new piece from Eurogamer this month dove a bit deeper into what the UK Online Safety Act means for video games. TLDR, good intentions, better than a ban, but difficult to enforce. Misogyny is the foundation of extremism. When we talk about extremism in games, misogyny is often the one that creeps up the most. For those naysayers who think misogyny is bad but not extremism, this one is for you. A researcher analyzed more than 100 manifestos written by people who carried out mass shootings, stabbings, and vehicular attacks, and other acts of ideologically, politically, and religiously motivated violence. The link across them all was misogyny. In the analysis of manifestos collected from 1966 to 2025, gender identity driven violence appeared in nearly 40% of them and were either the primary or a significant secondary motivation for the attack. This includes direct expressions of hatred towards women, trans and queer people, and references to feminist or LGBTQ+ movements. This work is discussed by the author in an op-ed on The Conversation this month, and as discussed in the piece, quote, "The authors of manifestos are frequently dismissed as nutters, demented, or socially unstable people. But the manifestos are valuable documents for understanding how ideology works. They show how people rationalize violence, where their ideas come from, and how they see themselves as political entities. They also reveal the role of digital communities in shaping those beliefs." It goes on. Misogyny is not just a cultural or emotional problem. Instead, it is increasingly functioning as an ideological gateway, connecting personal grievance with broader calls for violent extremism. Ahem, ahem. That last point is something I discussed in my bonus newsletter article this week, the Online Radicalization to Offline Perpetration Pipeline. You can read the full article on The Conversation. It's linked in my newsletter this month. And also, to add a little bit of context, this story that I'm talking about here about misogyny underlying all forms of extremism is particularly concerning in the context of 2025 because misogyny is everywhere, even when young people are not looking for it. There was a piece in the CBC this month that talked about how young people are encountering misogyny when they're just browsing the internet for fitness products, for instance. It's really creeping in to all areas of online life, and it is particularly prevalent in games, with 3 out of 4 game players saying they have witnessed misogynistic language and action in gaming spaces. Parental controls are out of touch with child's play. A new piece in The Conversation this month, also The Conversation. The Conversation's doing good this month with interesting pieces. Takes a look at how parents are mediating children's gaming through the use of parental controls. The first major takeaway was that nearly half of all parents say they do not use parental controls. The other major takeaway was parents saying that parental controls do not always work as promised, they offer little context about how settings impact gameplay, and they force binary choices that don't align with house rules or their individual child's needs. TLDR, parental controls do not always translate into increased child safety, and using parental controls can create a rift between parents and children on key safety issues. The solution? Better tools are certainly a part of it, but more importantly, open communication. I'm telling you, my proposed trust and safety Triforce continues to track the more time goes on. Communication fosters trust, helps children build resilience, and keeps the lines of communication open when something happens that isn't mitigated by parental controls or wasn't talked about in the original birds and bees conversation about tech. Would it be bytes and bits? What's the digital equivalent of that analogy? Also, lest we forget, parent-child communication can be even more effective to helping young people avoid harm than restrictions set by parental controls. Online Therapeutic Video Game Guide from Child's Play. Child's Play is an amazing charity that delivers therapeutic games and technology directly to pediatric hospitals to improve patients' lives through the power of play. Yeah, they're the good ones. This month, they updated their online therapeutic video game guide to include PC games. So if you're looking for a game to help with pain, sadness, anxiety, cognitive impairment, or boredom, this guide is for you. Layoffs. Is it a Zeitgeist newsletter if we're not talking about layoffs? Mike Drucker posted a new op-ed this month on The Gamer talking about layoffs, and, well, it spoke to me. In this piece, he talks about the human cost and the industry cost of the never-ending layoffs. And yes, he also talks about AI. It's funny, it's sad, and I would highly recommend giving it a read. Speaking of layoffs, this month Microsoft made deep job cuts across Xbox. I have also started following data trends by Raj Patel, who's been tracking the spree of layoffs over the last couple years. It's really striking to see it in a data visualization type of way. Highly recommend finding him on LinkedIn and checking out his work. Also, in the spirit of layoffs, I recommend reading the Game Informer feature this month by Mike Futter called Number Go Up. AI is for refinement, not creation. This month, a new textbook published by Springer, a well-respected academic publisher, was found to be riddled with fake phantom AI-generated citations. This month, it was also discovered that researchers are hiding AI prompts in papers to prompt more positive AI reviews of their work. First of all, why are you using AI to do peer reviews? Just don't accept the review if you're going to run an AI system through it, okay? It's called peer review. Your peers are supposed to review it. Anyone could run it through an AI. Don't do that. Secondly, this really reinforces in me the idea that AI is a tool for refinement, not creation. It can be a great tool to refine an idea. It can be a great tool to make a sentence more clear or develop a clever acronym, but it is not meant for the creation of new ideas, lest phantom citations creep in. All right, so let's turn to the research now. New research: social norm awareness and norm compliance in online games. I've done a lot of work in and around toxicity, and in the last few years, I've really been exploring the idea of the normalization of hate and harassment in games. That is, hate and harassment has become so ubiquitous, it has become normal, which could or would explain why it remains so ubiquitous, but also why so few people use reporting tools. Why would you report something that seems like it's normal behavior? New research this month supports this idea that toxic gamers do not know they are being toxic. Looking at League of Legends players, the researchers found that many players who appear toxic from the outside are not being driven with malicious intent, they are just unaware. A third of the players they surveyed said they did not clearly understand the norms of the games they played the most. The most surprising part? Experience didn't help. Even the most experienced players admitted they were often unclear on social rules unless they had access to strong social connections that reinforced norms. New research: using Minecraft to gamify radicalization. A new piece from GNet this month breaks down how some far-right extremist networks are leveraging Minecraft as a tool for ideological grooming and radicalization. While this is something I've talked about before, this piece is really great at breaking down exactly what it looks like. It's really a play-by-play. There's a lot of screenshots. It's written to be accessible to a general audience, and it's freely available to read on GNet. New research: is platform literacy the missing key? This month, a new piece from Sonia Livingstone and colleagues takes a look at the role of platform literacy in protecting young people. Taking a qualitative, that is an interview approach, they discovered that young people's encounters with extreme risk online are amplified by platform design. As a consequence, young people are becoming hypervigilant in a way to help them take anticipatory and remedial action. In that process, they're gaining platform literacy, a form of digital literacy that responds to the challenges posed by platform-specific architecture, business models, and algorithmic tendencies. This learning is also facilitated by peer discussion, shared experimentation, and reflective deliberation. It's a really great piece exploring the need for systematic changes, as well as the role of industry-side design decisions. New research: participatory approach to scientific communication. If you know me, you know that scientific communication is my jam. It's the whole reason I started a YouTube channel. It's half the reason I started this newsletter, and it's what I most often consult and talk about with students. It is an overlooked but critical component of scientific life. This month, a new research piece came out presenting an agenda for science communication and practice. In this piece, they discuss how science is a vital source of information for individuals and societies. Right. However, the effective communication of scientific is often lacking. Yes. They outline two paradigms to consider for scientific communication: dissemination and participation. And they also emphasize the need to move towards co-creation and co-production of knowledge. Like talking to stakeholders you're trying to inform, like talking to young people instead of just banning social media. In case you missed it, Zeitgeist. It has been the busiest Zeitgeist month of 2025. First of all, new long-form content. This month I announced a new series of videos for my channel. They're called EXP Talks, Entertainment Experience Psychology. Think TED Talks, but for the science of games and pop culture, and with more bonus XP. These new TED-style talks will explore the various chapters that lie within the Zeitgeist of Pop Culture book series. The plan is to have a new one each month, presented by the various authors and editors of the series itself. This month, the first one launched, half as a proof of concept and half because I knew I wanted The Witcher to be first. It's called A Witcher's Guide to Non-Toxic Masculinity, and you can watch it on YouTube. And while you're there, subscribe, because the more subscribers I have, the cooler my kids think I am, and that is the stage of life I'm in now. Help a girl out. This month, the Zeitgeist newsletter had 2 bonus posts. If you don't subscribe to my Substack yet, now would be the time to hit that subscribe now button. The first bonus post was musing on ideas about how to measure a healthy online community. This is something I've been thinking about for a long time and finally put pen to paper to get some of those ideas out of my head and into the world. The second bonus post, why is that so hard to say? Bonus post outlines the online to offline pipeline from radicalization to perpetration. Online to offline pipeline from radicalization to perpetration. This is a topic I find is often misunderstood, particularly among trust and safety in games, and it's important to understand when developing new tools and strategies to mitigate harm in digital spaces. This month, I also appeared on a live stream, which is something I haven't done in ages. The Research Left Behind is a show hosted by my dear friend and colleague that looks at, well, the research left behind on the cutting room floor, because there's always something that doesn't make the editing cut. We talked about the zeitgeist of pop culture Taylor Swift, and the full interview is available on YouTube and also linked in my newsletter this month. Speaking of the zeitgeist of pop culture, 2 new calls for papers have arrived this summer. There are currently open calls for the zeitgeist of pop culture Severance, as well as one focused on World of Warcraft. There are at least 2 more coming out this summer, so watch this space. Parenting, screen time, and life preparedness. This month at Nurture, I published several new pieces. First up is the Summer Screen Time Guide. With less structure in the day, often comes more screen time, and parents often struggle with finding a balance that doesn't default into screens. Let's make the summer less about rules and more about rhythm. I also published a recommended screen time guide for 4 to 7-year-olds, looking at how to balance quality versus quantity and what screen time limits could look like at this age. But parenting in the era of screens isn't just about guides and guardrails. We also need to talk about the benefits of screen time. Yes, there are benefits. It's easy to rattle off a list of all the benefits of games, critical thinking, problem solving, resilience. But it's another to spell it out, with science, of course. For this month, I published a couple long-form pieces about how games can help players develop empathy and also foster a growth mindset. Also, in case you missed it, I had another piece that came out at the end of May that I still think is the best piece I've done for Nurture Academy about overcoming parental guilt, they call it mom guilt, to embrace digital play. It's so easy to feel guilty, but if we move forward with intention, we can mitigate a lot of those feelings of guilt and have a better understanding of what games are and what they aren't. They're tools. They're not treats. They're not threats. Give that one a read. All right, we've come to my favorite part of the podcast and newsletter, which is Side Quests, what I've been reading, watching, and playing. What I'm reading. With PBS funding cut, will the next generation be raised by Skibbity Toilet? This Washington Post op-ed really got to me this month. This is the part of the article that really got me. It says, quote, the outcome being PBS being defunded, the outcome could lead to a broad shift in kids' media consumption. Unlike public broadcasting, streaming sites and video platforms are driven by revenue and incentivized to keep kids watching as long as possible. Parents can opt for free shows vetted by PBS on TV or an app, but if those go away, more families will turn to online content. Plenty of families appreciate that these shows are free and convenient, but research suggests that kids' content on YouTube veers towards lower quality videos in terms of educational value and positive messaging about contributing to communities or treating people well. One 2024 study, for example, found that YouTube searches for popular kids' content yielded a high prevalence of attention-engaging and problematic content such as violence or frightening images. And then there's this. Rebecca Willett, a professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison who studies children and media, says she often hears from parents whose children run into upsetting content that's recommended by YouTube's algorithm. One child, she said, looked up baby animal videos, which led to videos of animals giving birth, which led to videos of humans giving birth. Now, this I can attest to because in our house, we once went to videos of people playing with dolls to videos of adults dressed as babies. And yes, I mean those kinds of videos. It escalated quickly. What I'm watching, Dangerous Games by TVO. I actually haven't been watching that much this month, but I have been recommending this documentary a lot this month. In case you missed it, Dangerous Games looks at the reality of grooming online, how it's impacting players, and what the industry and regulators are doing about it. I promise I am not just recommending this documentary because I'm in it as an expert. I'm recommending it because it's critical that parents, educators, and caregivers are aware of the dangers that lie in our digital playgrounds. You can watch the documentary for free on YouTube, but if you're not in Canada, you might need a VPN. What I'm playing, I Am Bread by Bossa Studios. It's silly and I love it. And if you've played it, if you know, you know. The controls are weird. You're like this piece of bread and you're trying to flip over and you're trying to become toast and you try not to get too dirty. And then my kids are playing it, and then they fall into like the litter box, and then they're laughing, but then the bread is covered in litter and it's disgusting. And if you go in the sink full of water, you would think that would clean it off, but it doesn't, nor does it make the bread soggy. The mechanics are a little weird, but it's really fun. It's really fun and silly. I think we all need a little silly right now in mid 2025. Well, that's it for me this month. You'll find a link to the newsletter below, where you will find links to all of the things I discussed today. And while you're there, be sure to add yourself to the mailing list so my newsletter can come straight into your inbox. Until next time, be excellent to each other and always cite your sources. This podcast was produced by Zeitgeist, a multimedia content production studio that focuses on the intersection of games, science, and pop culture, created by Rachel Cowart.